Now, I'm not one to gossip, but I will bring you the tea. Welcome to Chronicle Speaks.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at you.
So the Wendy Williams news keeps coming in. According to TMZ, Wendy had the court date from hell yesterday. Judge Lisa Sokoloff, who has been presiding over her guardianship case since it began in 2022, let Wendy have it. She reportedly told Wendy that although she had a great career, that there was no hope of restarting it and that the career was over. Sources tell TMZ that the judge's words clearly hurt Wendy, but that's not even the half of it. The judge also went in on Wendy Williams' niece, Alex Finney, accusing her of leaking information to the press and threatening to sanction her if it continued. And get this, she even said Wendy's family was no good.
If you don't like me, that's fine. But, watch your mouth.
Child, now I don't know who died and made this woman God, but she is obviously feeling herself. Now you see why Wendy wanted someone unbiased, someone not chosen by the conservator or the judge, to be the person to actually give her the test to find out if she is cognitively impaired, to find out if she has frontal temporal dementia or aphasia. These folks are obviously playing games, and that guardian was too sure that Wendy would not pass the test. We wonder why. We are going to dive into this story and so much more, but before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding this story and so much more. Now let's get back into it. According to TMZ, things are getting weird and intense in the Wendy Williams guardianship war. Multiple sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ during a hearing this week, the judge told Wendy she had no hope of restarting her career. They go on to say it's pretty outrageous. Wendy showed up in court Thursday and appeared before Judge Lisa Sokoloff. Our sources tell TMZ the judge railed on Wendy's niece, Alex Finney, accusing her of leaking information to the media and threatening her with sanctions for future conduct. Now, as you know, Wendy's niece, Alex, has been a true writer when it comes to her aunt. She has been on every Breakfast Club interview Wendy has conducted. She's helped to set up Wendy's GoFundMe. She helped to find her an attorney. Alex has been on. So that leads me to ask, what exactly is going on within this guardianship case that you guys want to keep everything on the hush-hush? The Guardian has put a gag order on the case since 2022. The judge doesn't want anyone speaking on the case. It's a guardianship case. What the hell are we hiding? But wait, that's not all. They said the judge wasn't finished. We're told she attacked Wendy's family, essentially saying they were no good.
So now why am I in it? And you could have did it.
See how I get thrown in?
You never apologized.
And then Judge Sokoloff, out of the blue, started talking about Wendy's career. We're told she said Wendy had a great career, but it was over, adding she will never have a career again. It's done. The way the insults were flying, it's giving y'all wanted Wendy and her niece to act up. They weren't raised like that. They go on to say that sources say that the remarks hurt Wendy deeply, and it was unclear why she said it. Beyond it being hurtful, it's unclear what expertise the judge has in the entertainment industry to make such a grim assessment. For the record, lots of people are keenly interested in Wendy's career. TMZ's Tubi documentary, Saving Wendy, was viewed in huge numbers, and various outlets have been reporting on her bid to end the guardianship.
At the end of the hearing, this judge first basically said Wendy's family was terrible, and then looks at Wendy and says, you had a great career. Your career is over. It is never coming back. You're done. Why would a judge say that?
And what is the relevance to what they're actually there for? It just seemed mean-spirited.
Totally.
The way
it
was relayed to us, because
and by the way,
wasn't really necessary for the conversation that was going on.
And by the way, the judge doesn't know what she's talking about. Wendy Williams is a hot commodity right now. I can tell you from our Tubi documentary, it attracted a lot of attention. She's done interviews with major outlets. People are interested in her. So the idea that the judge would even say it, she's just wrong. But the fact that she'd say it is unbelievable.
That's sickening, honestly, just listening to you guys and hearing what you just said. From the issuance of a gag order, which we'll get to in a second, which is illegal, okay, to the statements, if true, that were made by this judge, in a court proceeding that has nothing to do with Wendy's career. Moreover, that were made in front of Wendy Williams. If true, that is outrageous, because this judge, one, she's not in the entertainment industry, so I don't know where she would get off opining about that and why that's even relevant to her role as a judge, who's basically the judge of the law, and in this case, judge of the facts. And why she's not a neurologist either, I mean, clearly, and someone who should be opining on whether Wendy Williams has the capability to get better and become but I will tell you, I've spent time with Wendy this week, and I've spoken to Wendy, Harvey, as you have, I'd say hundreds of hours over the last several months. And I will tell you, she's as Wendy Williams as she was 10 years ago. She's as Wendy Williams as she was when she had one of the best shows in television. She's absolutely capable of hosting a talk show or doing whatever she wants to do. I mean, she is there. She's got her wherewithal. And for someone to say that her career is over when they're a judge judging her is really a display of a bias. If I were her lawyer yesterday in that court proceeding and she'd said that judge in front of my client, I would have stood up there with fury. And I would have said, first of all, I would have objected to that statement because it's totally improper coming from the court. Totally improper. But moreover, it's made without a basis in knowledge, and it's made without a medical background and without education. And so I would have lost my mind, honestly, if that had been said to my client or in my client's presence if I were there yesterday. It's disgusting.
This is just crazy. Why? What about it? And Joe, help me out in this gag order thing. It's like, why is there a gag order in a guardianship case?
I've never heard of one, okay? Harvey, I've never heard of one. Guys, the issuance of gag orders prohibiting participants in judicial proceedings from speaking to the public or the press about those proceedings is a form of what's known as prior restraint, presumptively invalid under the First Amendment and frequently held to be unconstitutional by lower courts, including the Second Circuit, which is the court that is in New York. It is beyond pale that you can't just issue a broad gag order and just say, that's what we're doing here. So it's prior restraint on constitutionally protected expression. And there's been so many cases on this. And look, gag orders I guess, technically were issued and could be deemed valid in cases where, like, witnesses' lives were perhaps at risk, in organized crime cases or cartel cases where you had, the name of a witness who maybe was at risk or something of that effect, or where you really could hinder, an impartial jury, the right to a fair and impartial jury. And again, that's a stretch too. And I just had that in the ASAP Rocky trial. Okay, the judge initially issued a gag order in our trial and then rescinded it because he said it is illegal, it's constitutionally invalid, okay, in that trial. And that was with the jury. Here, there's no jury. This judge is the fact finder. So what, is she going to get influenced by a statement made out of court? Of course not. It's to punish. It's really to intimidate litigants and their lawyers. And to me, it's outrageous. There should not be a gag order. If I were in that case, I would be fighting tooth and nail, and I'd be appealing any issuance of a gag order. Prior restraint on constitutionally protected expression is illegal. It's illegal, and it normally carries a heavy presumption against constitutional validity.
Why do you think the judge and the guardian are going in so hard to keep her in this confined guardianship?
Harvey, I sometimes, honestly, I lay awake at night thinking, like, trying to come up with an answer. And I don't know if there's the guardian has a financial motivation, is financially motivated by this. I don't know if there's, now there's a line drawn in the sand, so to speak, and we're going to show each other who's the boss type of thing. I just don't understand it. But it is just wrong. It's just wrong. And I hope and pray I get into that guardianship case. Look, I respect the court, I respect the judges, and I respect the roles of a judge, but I do not and will not be bullied by anyone, including a judge who's going to impose gag orders that aren't permissible, who's going to make threats to litigants. That's not my gig. I don't really go with that. And I'm respectful, and I've never had a disciplinary complaint against me. That's ever. And so I will, you know, I know where the boundaries are, but also I'm not afraid to break some china if necessary. And this case is disgusting, just to be honest with you. I mean, I'm just really disgusted by this case. This poor woman, and I've spoken to her, and she's handling it as well as anyone could handle it. I'll be honest with you. I'd be losing my mind if I were being held. Really, it's over a year. She's in a place where she can't leave. I mean, it's insane to me. It really is insane, and it's sad. It's sad, and then so something has to be done. I'm not leaving her side until she's out of there. I promise you that.
Baby, I don't know what's going on with this Wendy Williams case, but I'm hoping Joe can get things together. What I need to do is hear from you. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think about everything going on with Wendy Williams. And you know how we do. We'll talk about it down below. Talk to you guys later. Bye. As always, thanks for watching. But before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any of my new episodes.